Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everybody. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. Sorry for the slight delay. We were having one of our guests was having technical difficulties. Vanya, sorry, bud. Uh, be in the chat. You will get highlight priority for this movie. We are discussing Captain America: Civil War, the third and final installment of the Captain America series. Now, folks, I know that they got a fourth Captain America movie coming out. It's only going to be in name only because, I'm sorry, the DC or the MCU is dead at this point. Beyond the Infinity Saga, they are having up and downs that is just too wobbly. So with me, it's just me and Jake tonight. The rest of the Hack Crew had other affairs that needed to be handled, which is fine. Real life, like I said, it trumps coming on streams. So, Jake, me and you, Bob, you ready for this?
Oh yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, you're welcome. So yeah, this movie started out without any pretense. It was just Siberia, 1991. And we see that the Winter Soldier is, instead of being in Germany, is now in Russia. So that's a switch. We see that he gets shocked again, or he's getting his brain fried after they wake him up, and they do the words. And the words are longing, rusted, 17, daybreak, furnace, 9, benign, homecoming, 1, freight car. Now, I've looked up a few things where they're saying, or Screen Rant came up with theories on what it all meant. Longing, he longs to be free of Hydra. Rusted, kind of code for his metal arm. 17, they have no idea. Daybreak, they got no idea. Furnace, well, he's always frozen all the time, so I'm guessing that Hydra would probably just dump him in a furnace to kill him if he ever turned. 9, no idea. Benign, his time in between missions. Homecoming, tease for Spider-Man Homecoming. But what does that have to do with the Winter Soldier? Who knows? 1, have no idea. And freight car, obviously he fell from a freight car before dying. Or before supposedly dying.
Could 1 be because he was in the first Captain America movie?
Possibly. Now, another thing is, well, let me look it up. What year was Bucky Barnes born?
That's going to greatly depend on the writer.
Yeah, James Buchanan Barnes was born in 1925. MCU Bucky was like a year older than Rogers, he was born in 1918. So chances are 17, 9, and 1 is 1917 backward.
Oh, that's a good point.
It might just be that he was born in 1917 in the MCU.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. Yeah.
Your stuff is coming through, Vanya. Your stuff is coming through.
Yeah, we can see your chats.
We can see your chats. Let me make sure that everything is copacetic. There we go. So we are live on 3 different platforms. Not all the platforms. Twitter and Facebook will not, or Facebook might come in, I do believe. Let me see here. Facebook will not come in, I'm guessing, unless we have somebody watching from Facebook. No, we only have 2 viewers watching from YouTube. So, yeah. We get him getting woken up and conditioned with the words, and he goes on a mission to find some blue packets And yeah, we don't know what happened. We know that he crashes a car, and we see that he is let's lower this a little bit. There we go. We see that he crashes a car and he gets the super soldier stuff, and that's it. And then we get to the beginning of the schmovie. So, what did you think of the beginning sequence where they're pulling him out of the ice and conditioning him?
I think it's great. It's one of those things that's right out of the comic books that it went well. I have to admit, I was hoping. I know Fury ended up not being in this movie,
Nope.
but in some versions of the Winter Soldier, Bucky is who takes away Nick Fury's eye, and specifically specifically the Samuel L. Jackson version. If you go by the comics,
Ultimates.
yeah, the Ultimate Comics. And I was at first when I went to see this in theaters, I thought that, oh, we're about to see that, right? Like, they were going to give Fury a little cameo, but then, like I said, he ended up not being in it. But I thought the sequence was really good. It was really cool. The Winter Soldier has always been, you know, pre his restoration. I always thought he was a really cool villain. So I'd be curious to know the whenever how the because we talked about this when we discussed the Winter Soldier. I wonder how far in advance they were thinking for this scene, because whenever they go into the secret computer room and everything, they reference this scene.
Accidents
But I wonder,
do
like,
happen. Yeah.
yes, and I wonder if I wonder how far, like, in advance they were thinking, oh, this is going to be that connection there.
I mean, they did when they said that accidents do happen, and they show Stark. It's like, did this dude kill the Starks? I mean, that's my thoughts when they actually show Stark's father
Mm-hmm.
as deceased at that point. So it is interesting. So then we get to the next scene, which is Lagos, Nigeria. Avengers 2.0 are searching for Crossbones. Now, I looked really close at the newspapers that Steve has next to him. And one of the things that they do say is, or one of the things that newspapers do is they repeat a pattern, or they take like a paragraph or two, and then they repeat them to make it look like a full-fledged article. I have seen that in so many movies. So
yeah, TV shows too.
Yeah, TV shows as well. And so it's like, really, that's how they do it. Hey, Christian, how you doing? The end of a patriotic trilogy. Exactly. And so we get to them discussing, or they've been hunting Rumlow for months, and they think he's attacking or going to attack a police station. And you can also tell that Natasha's been teaching Scarlet Witch her trade, a little bit, spy trade and whatnot. Looking over your shoulder has to be second nature, and she's picking up on how the others are teaching her and whatnot, which is nice. But then we get to Crossbone has a battering ram of a garbage truck, and we get introduced to Red Wing in MCU standard, which is a drone connected to Falcon's wing pack, which is nice. And it is, or because Red Wing in the comics is an actual bird. I think it's actually or a red bird or a cardinal or something.
I think it's like some sort of red falcon. Yeah, because I don't think it's a cardinal, because it's too big to be a cardinal. That's the only reason I don't think that.
Well, all right, so then it's probably a different bird. But yeah, I do like how he does, or it's a, damn it, what am I trying to say? Drone. And it does X-ray, and it's loaded for reading that the garbage truck is max capacity, so they crash it into a bio lab. And we get the theft of infectious diseases, which also has the worst CGI gas I have ever seen. It just does not read right. I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second.
You're right. It's that gas scene was pretty rough.
Yeah, at least CGI wise. Where
Right.
then, but I do like the fight sequences where Falcon's learning more how to handle his wings, and Wanda is doing just an excellent job with her how to use her magic. I mean, she's doing good with a bulletproof shield and whatnot. And we see that Crossbones gets his hand on a biological weapon and then notices that Cap is there. So he is not putting up with Cap's shit. He has a freaking grenade blaster or grenade launcher that he's the second he sees Cap, he just I'm like, damn, dude, he does not care. And I also like how Widow fights and gets up to him, tries shocking him with her stingers. And he's like, I don't work like that no more. And it's like, dude, could that work on multiple levels? Sorry, had to, even with the girls gone. But it's like, he's not playing with her either. He drops her in the truck and then drops a grenade in there. It's like, oh shit. You know, you got seconds to react to a grenade, folks, when a grenade is dropped. You got like 5 seconds. 5. And she thought pretty quick she'd put an armored dude on top of her and gets blown out of the freaking van. It's like, oh shit, that's gotta hurt. So what did you think of this iteration of Crossbones with the suit and the punchers and whatnot?
I thought it was cool. I did kind of miss because typically Crossbones doesn't need a hand whenever he fights. He's kind of typically a brawler. He's very strong. He's been able to go toe to toe with some of the not someone like say even Spider-Man strong, but definitely like sort of the just enhanced human characters, and so it was kind of I wasn't like scoffing at it because I know that, they have to adapt things differently for a film version, but I did think the costume was cool. I thought the helmet was cool. I like seeing Rommel. I have to say well, I might be getting ahead of myself, but I didn't like how brief his character is in this movie.
Yeah.
Kind of being that opening sequence character,
Yeah.
or opening for the Avengers, I should say.
So we've all seen the skins from the last movie, which was Avengers Age of Ultron, I believe. Yeah. Or no, last movie was Ant-Man. But we saw all the suits from Age of Ultron. And there's only one real suit to put in this movie, which let me pull it up. Downloads. There we go. And when I saw this it's not the exact same. So let me all heroes and skins. Because in the game that I used to play Age of Marvel's Avengers Alliance, it was a little bit different. They actually have 2 of them. So let me share the screen. And they actually didn't have Crossbones. Apparently, this dude was fucking jacked in the comics.
Oh, yeah. He's a big dude.
He is all freaking muscle. Holy shit. He's like Juggernaut, just without Cytorak. But let's pull up the thing I'm sharing here. Come on. Wait, I need to be on ScreenYard to do it. That's why. I am just off today, folks. Sorry about that. Share screen. There we go. Here's Black Panther 1. This is the skin in the game, or the original skin in the game, which I believe is actually the comic book version.
Yeah, that's his special king armor is what I believe that one is.
Yeah, let's take
that
it
has
down
the
so you can see that. Yeah, and the next one was his. Jesus, where is it? 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 There it is. And the next one is this one, which is called the Clawed Armor, which they doused the cape, thickened the suit with a little bit more armor, and gave him claws.
Mm-hmm. That looks like more like his ultimate outfit from the. Although in the ultimate he didn't have a full mask; it was a quarter mask, kind of like Batman's.
Yeah. So that is something that I thought was pretty cool in this movie. They did a good job with Black Panther. Mm-hmm. Chadwick Boseman, a frickin' dude. Everybody says that Chadwick Boseman was a great actor and everything and stuff. This is how great Chadwick. Oh, I see you, man. Sorry, you're taking it easy. All right, Bob. First heard of Black Panther from 2009 game Marvel's Ultimate Alliance. Yeah, they had the Ultimate Alliance and then the Avengers Alliance, which was on Facebook and PC. I was always introduced to him through PC. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the first time I heard of him, he has a cameo in the 90s Fantastic Four animated series. That was the first time I had heard about him.
Yep. And what a lot of people don't realize is that he's actually married to Storm.
Not anymore, but he was for a long time. It was one of the longest. He got mad because she sided with the X-Men during the Avengers versus X-Men story arc. So after that, he annulled their marriage. Which, by the way, that's an awesome arc. I would love to see that adapted.
Wow, this is interesting. Jaimin Honshu was going to play Black Panther in a third Storyverse Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah.
So if they went beyond, Silver Surfer, the third one was going to have apparently Wakanda in it. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was also at one point. Oh man, I'm gonna forget it. Why am I blanking on his name? The guy who played Wesley Snipes. He actually was actually going to portray Black Panther in the 90s for a feature film that John Singleton, Too Fast, Too Furious guy, was going to direct. But John Singleton wanted to make him American. And Chad and Wesley Snipes was like, no, if we do this, we won't get those fans.
Yeah.
So they clashed over the script a lot because Wesley Snipes wanted to keep it more wanted to make it like a serious coming to America, but they kept clashing over creative differences. So that's why he ended up being Blade. Was he couldn't get a Black Panther script finalized.
Yeah. Well, they made the right choice with Blade because he totally did it very freaking well.
Yeah.
Even that trashy third one. But we see you, Vanya. Sorry. Just to let you know, we do see your comments. But yeah, what people don't realize, Chadwick Boseman had cancer during this during his whole time working for the MCU. He had cancer. And he was dying slowly from it. So this dude was a freaking champ.
It's true.
So we then see Crossbones loses the fight with Cap, and he's about to blow himself up by taunting Captain America with a mention of Bucky. And Wanda encases him in his own blast. That's gotta be fucking painful, man.
True.
I mean, you see him screaming because he's getting the constant fire burning him. And she then sends it upwards, except that, well, the blast still has to diffuse. And it diffuses into a building, killing a bunch of people.
Mhm.
which we later learned to be Wakandans. And it's like, oh shit. So this very public screw up gets them in trouble. And we then, or what's the next scene? See Stark, or after this, and Stark is having a memory of his last time with his parents. And I thought that it was a nice little memory that we're seeing. It's like, oh, this is cool. And then we see a young Robert Downey Jr. Holy shit, man. And I got to say, when it's like, that is pretty damn good, you know? And when his mom starts saying, this is the last time you're going to see us again, I'm like, this can't be a memory then. Unless this woman is completely freaking clairvoyant, this can't be a memory. And you see him say, I love you, Dad, and whatnot. And then when she goes in to kiss him and pulls back, that's when you see the older Tony in the background. And I'm like, that's clever. That is so freaking clever, you know? And then he's like, that's how I wish it went. And binarily augmented retroframing, or BARF, which we learn after the Infinity Saga, was the ultimate insult to Mysterio. And it's like, why the fuck did they do this? But yeah, BARF. It's like, what the fuck? God, I got to work on that acronym. And he's giving the September Foundation grant to the MIT. And so after dodging a creepy freaking staff member who wants some grant money for himself for an exploding hot dog, or rather self-heating hot dog, where he wants to put an explosive in the core and just blow it up. The fuck, dude? We also learned that he's on the outs with Pepper. They're taking a break because we see how he responds to the prompter where he's supposed to introduce Pepper.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not in this movie. So, yeah. But she's there in spirit and mentioned. And then we see, who was the lady that, or I recognize the actress. She was also in Annabelle. So let me see this. Annabelle cast. Because looking up Captain America.
Alfre Woodward?
Woodard, yep. She played Charlie Spencer's mom. She played this, or she's like, breaks as many eggs as you like. He's like, are you going up? I'm exactly where I want to be. And so he stops her because she reaches into her purse. But I mean, when you hear somebody say that, I'm exactly where I need to be, and then they reach into their purse, what the fuck would you think? Me, I would be like, don't, please, don't do it. You know, I'd be thinking gun. And then she pulls out the picture of her son and says that his name was Charlie Spencer, and you murdered him in Sokovia. And I'm thinking to myself, how was he one of those Ultron drones? Because I know that they murdered those with extreme prejudice. However, anything else would have been considered an unfortunate collateral damage event. Hey, Steve, good to see you, buddy. And she played she played one of the evil chicks in the Luke Cage show.
Good show, by the way.
Yes, it was. Rosario Dawson had a lot of fun on that one. And in the Defenders, mind you. A lot of fun on that one. And good to see you, man. Have a good sleep. So, oh, Jesus, this thing just keeps on highlighting stuff. Sorry about that. But anyway, what did you think about that, where she confronts him, saying that you murdered him and it's all your fault and I blame you? I mean, I get grieving mother, but do you really think it is fair what she did?
I don't think it was fair. But this is kind of a common trope in comic book films, even in My Hero Academia. in the current arc, there's a lot of that where they're blaming the superheroes for the villains doing, because the villains are either they're captured or they're on the run, and so there's no one else, or they're defeated in Ultron's case, so there's no one really to blame. And we see this all the time. Like I said, the last My Hero Academia arc, Dark Deco gets blamed for what All for One did, and we're seeing this now here. Tony is getting blamed for Ultron, and he did kind of create Ultron. And I'm sure that only made him feel worse. And I did think this was strange with Woodard's casting in this, because at the time the Netflix shows were canon to the MCU, and they flat out said no double casting. We will not cast the same person in two different roles. Apparently the directors didn't know she had been cast in Luke Cage, and she just didn't bother to tell them. So that's why they made her wear that wig, so she would look like a totally different character. But anyone who watched Luke Cage knew it was her, obviously.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was a very potent scene. We also saw this in The Incredibles, didn't we? Mr. Incredible gets blamed for the actions of Bon Voyage, and
all the heroes are blamed for
right. And I will say the catalyst that is coming, where it leads into the Avengers Civil War, so to speak. I do have to admit, I felt like it was a little lighter compared to what happened in the comics. So in the comics, the New Warriors decide to take on this villain who's radioactive, and so he just ignites himself. And the New Warriors, one of their members has a force field, so they all survive. But he wipes out like a 50-mile radius, including children.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so there's literal dead children bodies, and that's what leads into the Civil War in the comics. So knowing that level of severity happened in the comics, and it's like, oh, this mother is angry, that's what's going to lead into the Civil War. So I also know they talk about other things when in the upcoming scene, but I think that I will say it was really well acted. I'm so glad, because apparently Perlmutter didn't want to pay Robert Downey Jr.'s fee to be in this movie, but Disney had deeper pockets, and they basically told Perlmutter where he could go. And they paid his fee because it was outside of his contract. That's also why Gwyneth Paltrow isn't in it. Neither of them weren't supposed to appear until the next Avengers film. So that's what
made any sense.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the directors knew. That's what Kevin Feige knew, and so that's why Disney just shelled out the cash and basically told Ike Perlmutter where he could go. Which Ike Perlmutter, I could go on a long tangent about him. What a coward! But anyway, I did like the sequence, and I'm glad that they did nail down Robert Downey Jr. for this film, because it would not have made sense without him.
I mean, Civil War. I've never read the comics, but Civil War was always ended up with Cap against Iron Man.
Yes, it's very. This movie is different. This movie is more emotional, or I should say emotionally charged, because in the comics, Tony Stark has actually been appointed as director of S.H.I.E.L.D. because both the Nick Furies are gone. He's been appointed the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. and he is feeling a lot of pressure from the government. And so that kind of leads him to sort of buckle under that pressure. And he takes really terrible stances as a result of this. And this one, it's different because he's still the Tony Stark that we all know and love from the previous Avengers movies and the previous Iron Man movies. So it was easy to side with Cap in the comics. It's not so easy to side with him in the film.
To be completely honest, I sided with Cap because I knew immediately, one titular character, but it's like, but when you actually weigh the Sokovia Accords versus what they want to do, there is a guy on YouTube who's an actual lawyer called Legal Eagle. Have you ever heard of him?
Oh yeah. He did a really good breakdown of She-Hulk.
Yeah, and he also did a breakdown of the Sokovia Accords, And he found out right then, or he going through them, he's like, yeah, these are radically unconstitutional. Now, as much as I like how his breakdown of entertainment, he kind of went into the real world going after only one particular person who we all, he kept on saying, is Trump this and yada yada, and it's like, oh my god, dude, you really had to go there.
he did a good breakdown of the Batman animated series episode Trial, where the Arkham inmates capture Batman and put him on trial, and Joker is the judge and everything. It's
hung jury.
Yeah, it's actually a really good episode, but he actually broke down how, because they kidnap a DA who hates Batman to be his defense attorney, and he actually breaks down her legal strategy, and it was a really good breakdown. But yeah, I could see how the Sokovia Accords would be unconstitutional. For one thing, it's an international decree, right? So right off the bat, that's 10th Amendment violation,
Yep. Which I do believe Legal Eagle actually went into. So we're at Avengers Mansion afterward, and we see the Viz and Wanda have a thing where he's walking into her room through the wall.
Right.
And everybody knows that Wanda and Vision actually do have a thing in the comics and such. So it wasn't really a stretch that was where it was going. I mean, she was giving him the lusty eyes back in Age of Ultron. And hold on one second. Yeah. Sorry, I just had to look up something really quick.
Yeah, no worries.
But yeah. So we then realize that Stark has arrived with Secretary of State. It's like, dude, the Sokovia Accords, if you freaking support this, technically you could be removed from office. Because now Thunderbolt Ross Thaddeus, is Secretary of State instead of a general. It's like, who the hell appointed you as Secretary of State, man? I would have put you as SecDef at least, you know? But I guess Secretary of State is better than nothing. And so, having freaking mosquito bite on my back, sorry.
No worries.
They bring up the Accords, but they also show videos of the Battle of New York, where the Hulk, I'm guessing Ross got a big Jolly Roger off of that one. He's like, New York, and you see that the Hulk caused some damage that fell onto people recording. You see that in Washington, D.C. during the Triskelion incident, or the Hydra incident and whatnot, that the crash or the crashes of the helicarriers killed people there. Nigeria or Sokovia, you see a freaking building fall onto houses. And then you see Nigeria, which happened earlier in the movie, and that's when Wanda reacts, and it's like, okay, that's enough. And so they're like ratified by 137, I think he said, countries. And they're like, well, we'll talk it over. And if we come to a thing or decision you don't like, well, then you retire. And it's like, fucking make me. I mean, if you look at this film from a political lens, this film is very much Democrat versus Republican. And it's not Democrats who are the good guys here, folks. I'm sorry, it's not. Captain America is very much Republican, where he cares about the law and how people are very much should not have their freedoms impacted. In a private organization, yes, ignoring sovereign borders, sure, I get that. But you are not going to or cause people to register themselves as weapons of mass destruction simply because they're a little different. That goes against the entire Constitution of the United States. So it's like if the governments were to go after the Avengers, I don't think that the governments of the world really truly understand how much damage they could do if they ever made an enemy out of them. Let's just say that. Because there are, I believe, elseworlds, so to speak, in Marvel where the Avengers do take over.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like the Justice Lords, you know? So, yeah. And they're discussing it over, talking it over, and we get the introduction to Zemo, I believe, as the next scene. Let me check. And yep, the intro to Zemo, and who is Sokovian in this. He's German. He's Hydra originally, or is he AIM?
He's Hydra originally. He was in the comics. He is the founder of Hydra, not Red Skull. He was in fact in the comics. Captain America, when he first came out of the ice, when the Avengers found him, he would actually have nightmares about Zemo, not Red Skull. Because even though Red Skull had been established as his worst enemy, which is Zemo was the one he interacted with the most. Because Red Skull was always shown to be kind of at Hitler's right hand, basically.
Yeah. Well, also Red Skull was very much Hitlerian, especially in the game Ultimate or Avengers Alliance. It's the reason why Magneto left the Alliance of Villains. Because they wanted, or he found out they were trying to bring back the Red Skull.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, no, the Red Skull hates mutants.
Yeah.
And I do believe that is also a thing in the comics. He actually hates the mutants as well. Plus, there's that Amalgam comic where the Red Skull gets attacked by the Joker. He's like, I may be
the hyena.
Psychopath.
It's the hyena and the Amalgam.
Yeah. I may be a psychopath, but I'm an American psychopath.
Oh, that wasn't an amalgam. That was a crossover with Batman, with the 1930s Batman and Captain America. Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that was amalgam is when they merged.
Oh yeah, because Wolverine and Batman, I believe.
That was bizarre to me. The Batman Wolverine combo, but anyway,
I
used to own them all. Dark Claw.
Wow. But yeah, also get this, folks. This is what actually turned into a cardinal rule for the Marvel Universe and the Amalgam, thanks to the Amalgam comics. The Infinity Gauntlet and Stones, if they're not in their home universe, they don't work.
Mm-hmm.
They're active, but they're innate. Or they're inert, rather. Not innate, but inert. So yeah, what if? You kind of fucked up. Loki got it right. The show Loki got it right. And everybody gives Loki's show, oh my god, they reduced the Infinity Stones to paperweights. Bitch! That's correct! It's like, don't you people know anything?
Yeah, I remember they did a story arc where the superheroes all got pulled into another dimension, but they lost their memories. And Loki is actually the one who figures out they're in another dimension because there's no Infinity Stones. He's like, if this was our universe, there would be Infinity Stones, but there's none at all. And so that's when they figure out that they're in a fake universe. I think Franklin Summers created it. It was like a mini universe that they had to escape from. He did it to protect them or something. So,
but yeah, getting back to the show, we see Zemo is Sokovian, and he goes after a former Hydra guy. And dude, this torture sequence, upside down, water slowly rising, and he just wants one freaking question to be answered. Mission report. December 16, 1991. And the guy tells him to go to hell, and he's like, I don't want to kill you, but if I have to resort to bloodier methods, I will. I mean, he doesn't want to be this mass murderer, but if he has no choice, he will do so. Well, the guy doesn't really give him any choice because he just fucking goes silent, and then he says "Hail Hydra" before he drowns. And it's like, well, okay, here we go. So then we get the arguments between all the different people and the causality of Stark coming out as Iron Man and Vision's equation, as well as Iron Man basically saying, "Oh, this is Charlie Spencer, by the way, and we'll never know what he wanted to do because we dropped a building on him while we were kicking ass." And it's like, unfortunate. One life versus 7 billion.
Mm-hmm.
No math there. As heartless as that sounds, folks, as heartless as it sounds, and yes, it sounds heartless. If one person died or a couple thousand died, I'm sorry, acceptable casualties in that situation. In that specific situation against Ultron, thousands of people dying, I'm sorry, that is acceptable. Because this man meant to, or this thing meant to create global extinction by wiping out everybody. So yeah, Widow had it right. Everybody up here versus everybody down there. There's no math there. So they keep on arguing while, hey, Skyhound, good to see you. And he's like, or he gets a text. She died peacefully in her sleep. And it turns out we know exactly who it was. Peggy. And yeah. So what are your thoughts so far before we get to Peggy's funeral?
Well, first when Ross is going through the casualty list, another YouTuber pointed this out. I'm not the first one to point this out. Those casualties are actually very low, compared to other catastrophes that have happened. The Avengers, sad, always loss of life, but the casualty count is not that great. One is too many, obviously, but I just mean throwing a fit over it comparatively doesn't make sense. And also, I love Zemo. I think they got the right actor to play him. I think making him Sokovian for the MCU specifically was the right call. Yep. I just think that they had already built up too much lore in the MCU to make him, a leftover World War II villain for Cap to dust up. So I think that in this particular case, I think they made the right call. It's making a modern man who is a survivor of Ultron. That gives him plenty of motive, means, and opportunity to go after the Avengers. And then this scene where they're having their little spat, I would just like to point out how great the MCU used to be at casting this whole scene. They've got 5 characters, and they all get a great word in edgewise, and they all acted out very well. So I've got to say I appreciate that about this, especially this in the Infinity Saga. Fantastic acting for everyone involved in this scene. That it really pulls you in, and you feel the tension in the air as they're debating back and forth whether they should sign the Accords or not.
Yep, and I do like it. It's because Steve calls it out for what it is. It's led by people with agendas, and agendas change.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, folks, it's hard not to look at this movie and look at our current situation,
Right. And one thing too is one thing that Rhodey brings up is something we talked about when we talked about the first Avengers movie, is they didn't use the UN, they used the World Security Council because they weren't sure what direction the film franchise at the time would go. So they were like, okay, let's make a stand in UN, and it was the World Security Council. What does Rhodey say? He says, Cap, this isn't SHIELD, this isn't the World Security Council, this is the UN. And so now we're establishing this could be a real world event. So I thought that was really a great scene. It made it feel I know it obviously Marvel is involved in sci-fi and all that, but it made it feel more grounded, definitely more realistic in a good way.
Yep. Regarding Zemo later, what he tells Cap and Tony before they fight makes perfect sense and is also eerily creepy as to how true it is. True, indeed. Yep. Well, somewhat true.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, the debate in this film is extremely potent. So we then get to where are we here? Peggy's funeral, where we all know Sharon Carter is Sharon Carter, and we see her doing the eulogy, which we get the very famous line, which is what I believe Captain America said to Thanos in the comics. Even when everyone is telling you something wrong is something right, when everyone in the world tells you to move, it is your duty to plant yourself like a tree and tell them, no, you move. And that is basically what Peggy taught her niece, her great niece. And she also never told anybody that they were related, which is what she explains to Cap in that eulogy. And it is a truly powerful, it speaks to everything that Captain America is.
Mm-hmm.
Compromise where you can, but when you can't, don't. It is your duty to, or when everyone is telling you something is right, even though it is very wrong, plant yourself like a tree and tell everybody else, nope, not, or this is an uncompromisable situation. That I am now the immovable object. You're the unstoppable force. You ain't moving me.
Mm-hmm. It's very Churchillish, which would make sense for Captain America. That, Churchill once said, "Never give in, never get in, except on matters of honor and good sense." And you can see that reflected in Captain America in this film.
Yep. And we then see or learn that Tony, Rhodey, and Vision and Natasha has signed, and they go to Vienna to ratify the accords. We are introduced to T'Challa and T'Chaka, his father. And I got to say, Chadwick Boseman played this very well. And the kind of just boss introduction to T'Challa, where he's just standing there, arms out like this, looking out the window, and then just looks back, and it's like, you know what? Stylish. There you go. So we get this nice little moment between him and his father, and it's like he doesn't agree with the politics. He's like, do I agree with the accords? Yes. To the politics, not really. Two people in a room can get more accomplished than 100. And then his father comes in, unless you're moving a piano. So it's a nice little counter. And it shows that T'Chaka can look at any situation and find a counter to it, because that is very much what he was. You learn this in the first Black Panther movie. He has a counter to everything his son tells him. And it is really a nice little bit between father and son before everything goes to shit, which there's bombing outside of the UN, but the blast is big enough to destroy the UN building area where everybody's meeting for the accords, which kills T'Chaka. And we then learn that somebody fitting the approximation of one James Buchanan Barnes is leaving or fleeing the scene and made sure to look directly at a fucking security camera with just enough of his face to show. I'm sorry. The Winter Soldier would have known better than that. So it's like, nope, not buying it. Immediately, I knew something was off. Because it's like, I'm not buying this. Barnes wouldn't have done this. especially now that he is unstable, away from Hydra, and learning about himself and just trying to find a life. Which we then learn he's in Bucharest, Romania, trying to live a life until some paper vendor recognizes him. And so he goes up to the paper vendor, and the dude literally just books. I love that. He just books down the road. He's like, fuck this. I'm not about to be killed by this guy. And then he sees Winter Soldier and yada, yada, yada. Apparently, it says in the foreign language, blows up UN. And I'm like, oh, shit. Yeah, I just found out that I apparently blew up the UN. I'm getting the fuck out of town. But CIA is all over this, and Sharon Carter is now part of the Joint Terrorist Task Force in Europe. And she helps Cap, give him a little bit of noise, and they have orders to shoot on sight. And I love this sequence with Cap and Bucky, where he's like, Bucky, stop, you're going to kill somebody. So he just floors Cap, punches the freaking floor right next to him. I'm not going to kill anyone. And he doesn't. He does his best to be as minimal as possible. However, he does throw one dude over, and then we get Cap pulling a Joe Biden. Come on, man. And believe me, folks, I will return to that Joe Biden, Cap pulling a Joe Biden thing later when we get to Endgame. Because the old Steve Rogers thing, I'm sorry. They could have just... never mind. It's a nice... Or what did you think of that whole sequence, especially before we get to the main introduction to Black Panther, where he asks, or where he tries to confront Bucky, and Bucky's defensive?
I liked it. I thought it was really good. It was a good connection point to Winter Soldier, and I think that it led in very well to what's about to come next.
Yep. And we get the introduction to... one thing I do like is when they toss a flashbang in there, you see Steve put the shield down over it. And even with super soldier strength, it's not enough to stop that thing from being muffled by the shield all the way, because it still blows the shield up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Also, that was another clever thing that Crossbones did, throwing a magnetic charge magnetic explosive right at Cap's shield. So it's like, oh shit, you know? So yeah, that was clever as well. So then Bucky's escaping, and we then see a second shadow just coming out of nowhere. And played at Regal, yeah. And it's Black Panther, and I just love that. It's like, and I'm like, oh shit, this dude. Now, when a freaking gun chopper comes around and starts blasting at this dude with 40 millimeter cannon fire, I'm sorry. When this dude is just looking up at it, just taking those shots like, what else you got, bitch? I'm thinking to myself, vibranium. Has to be vibranium. Because he's literally shrugging off 40 millimeter cannon, folks. If a person got shot with a 40 millimeter cannon, just to let you know, holes about this big in your body, tearing you up
easy
as it travels through you. The exit point would be bigger than the entrance point. So this big hole here is actually in your back if you're getting shot in the chest. It's enough to eviscerate your heart so that you ain't living. And yet, Black Panther, doing, 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 doing. It's like, meow, bitch. And I like what Sam has to do with the Falcon suit. He just comes up and just gives the helicopter a kick in the ass, or, well, tail. And we then get the nice chase, the super soldier and super speed chase in the tunnels, man, where you see freaking Bucky just Catman, Black Panther, Super Soldier Steve, just whipping right by, and it's like, damn, dude. And freaking Bucky, just to show you how fast this dude is going, runs up the back of a car and down the front of the car and just keeps on going. And it's like, yep, fast. We get it. Super Soldier. Uh-huh. I love this. I don't want it to stop. Give me more. And I love the musical tone of the Black Panther with the very tribal kind of sound.
Even that when he's really, hanging on, I love that.
Yeah, when he's hanging on the back of the truck to which became a freaking commercial for these, or for, I think it was Mazda or some shit, where Captain America steals a truck and they turned it into a commercial where somebody's riding their new truck down the road. They look in their side mirror and it's freaking Black Panthers on the back of it. It's like, what the fuck? I mean, me, I'd be like, what the fuck am I seeing, man? I better be tripping balls or something. Holy crap. I'd be freaking out if somebody was on the back, or some major big old cat ghost was on the back of my car. Sorry, I'd be freaking like that, folks, because that's just how crazy I am. But I do like how he is completely just focused on ready to murder Bucky.
Mm-hmm.
Because the second he gets ready to go strike, the captain is there to pull him back off. It's like, dude, just back the fuck off. And then we get War Machine coming in. Everybody stand down. Congratulations, Cap. You're a criminal. And, well, okay. Put away your claws. Pull off your hat. I ain't under arrest. I'm a king, bitch. It's like, Your Highness. Lucky bastard. What did you think of the chase?
Oh, loved it. It was the perfect introduction to Black Panther. He is such an amazing character, and to see his introduction this way, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. The chase scene was incredible. I even remember when they did the first Captain America Civil War trailer where they showed a clip of Captain America chasing Black Panther down the street. The trailer did not do it justice. Like they always say, they put the best scenes in the trailer. That is true here. The trailer got me pumped, but it was above and beyond. Fantastic scene. I loved it. I love Rhodey's little landing too. It like I said, this movie was really good about giving everyone sort of an intro, all the major players, while keeping it a Captain America film. So I thought that was a nice little touch they brought on there.
Indeed. And also before this, Zemo was in his Berlin hotel room where he's reading the Winter Soldier book, the different words to say, and he has to read them in Russian. Otherwise, now, folks, that has been turned into such a meme. It's like where the Winter Soldier is like, I don't want to go, or I'm out with the guys, and she's like, I'm sitting here my girlfriend. I'm sitting here with Panties. You want to Netflix and chill? Kind of out with the guys, baby. And then she just starts saying the words, and then you see the next picture. He's just running. It's like, yep, I'm on my way, honey.
Nice.
It was such the meme back then, man. And then we see that he gets black coffee and bacon. It's like, dude, are you trying to turn your stomach into solid rock of grease and gook?
I don't see a problem.
I mean, I like coffee. I like my coffee with cream and sugar. Lots of sugar. Lots of cream, especially if it's hazelnut. And I like bacon, sure, but I like something to go with the bacon, like eggs.
Makes sense.
But this dude is military, very basic. He's a basic bitch. Joking. He's actually quite smart. But you also see this device that he's hiding so the room service lady doesn't come in. he's protecting her as much as he can because he doesn't really want to kill this woman. She's nice. So, yeah, we get that. So everybody's arrested. And Vision and Wanda are at the compound, and Wanda is confined to the compound because Vision's like, we could order a pizza. She's like, are you not letting me leave? There's a matter of safety. I can take care of myself, not yours.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, she's locked in her room, essentially. Armor so thick, bullets don't bounce, they just fall down. That's basically what vibranium is, yet vibranium is incredibly thin. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, we then see that's going to be a problem later, you know? And we get introduced to Everett Ross, or Bilbo Baggins is in the MCU, folks. And everybody's meeting up in Berlin because, well, yeah, Bucharest, Romania to Berlin, Germany. That's like, what, a 6-hour drive? I don't know. But it just turns out that they have a psych guy coming in to visit Bucky. And, yeah, it's not who they thought it was going to be. The guy that was supposed to come in and see him, Dr. Broussard, was played by none other than Anthony Russo.
Mm.
The Russo brother cameo that the other brother was the gay assistant to Nick Fury in Civil War and Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, both Russo brothers were introduced in this film, or were introduced into the MCU cameos. And Broussard was the doctor that was supposed to visit Bucky, except that Zemo got him. Got a bad case of the helmets. So, I gotta say that is actually quite the scene where he sets it up. He's waiting for a delivery to go through, and then an EMP is triggered. And so he starts reading it, and Bucky tries breaking out. He's doing his best to get out before that last word can be spoken. Unfortunately, he breaks out just as the last word is spoken, and it's like, oh, shit. And he's like, ready to comply. Mission report, December 16, 1991. Dude, what is your obsession with this mission report? I mean, I love this because they made it such a freaking meme after Doctor Strange came out. And Dormammu was asking Doctor Strange, what do you want? And then you see freaking Helmut Zemo, mission report, December 16, 1991. And it's like, oh, fuck, dude. That just fucking killed me. And so we then see Unleashed Winter Soldier, who's kicking the shit out of Cap and basically grabs Sam like this and just, well, more like this, and just throws him. It's like, oh, shit. You know, that's got to hurt because this is a super soldier. He could crush your jaw just if he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that had to hurt. So then we get Agent 13, Sharon, fighting the Winter Soldier. And she gets her ass kicked. And we get hold on one second. We get Widow getting her ass kicked. She gets lifted up. She's elbowing him up and on the head like numerous times. Then he puts her down and starts choking her. You can at least recognize me. And I love what she asks Stark. She's like, did you bring a suit? Yeah, it's a nice 3-button. Whatnot. I'm an active duty non-combatant. But at least his watch is enough to make a repulsor glove, which sends shockwaves and a flash at Bucky, and is able to take a bullet and then pull apart the gun. So that was nice. He got his ass kicked by the Winter Soldier. But then we get Chadwick Boseman versus the Winter Soldier. Gotta say, that was pretty good seeing him without the suit kicking ass.
Mm-hmm.
So we then see Sam is chasing the doctor because the doctor's like, or when Cap is there, he's like, what are you doing here? Or what do you want? To see an empire fall. And it's like, well, okay. Now we get a little bit more of what's going on. And Zemo escapes, and the money shot for all the women, folks. Captain America holding a freaking chopper. Under, over, ripped muscles. I don't have muscles, so you're not seeing much there. I'm too chubby and flabby. But it's like, dude, if you're this jacked, are you on fucking steroids? Holy shit.
It's super serum.
Yeah. Super serum steroids. So Bucky ends up choking him or giving him a nice little hardy daddy choke until they fall into the river and he loses consciousness. And, well, yeah. They're now being chased, and we get. So, what did you think of the escape of Bucky and the fights?
Whew, cool.
Yeah,
I don't know how else to describe it. It was cool. I loved it. Disappointed Stark didn't bring a suit, but I understand because he's supposed to be signing the Accords and all that. But still, cool sequence. Loved it. Fight was well choreographed. I mean, I don't know why they don't just hire that guy to choreograph all the fight scenes. He did such a good job. Freaking loved it.
Right. And so it's like after that, let's see here. Zemo escapes and then he's heading to Russia. He listens to a message from his wife. And it's like, okay, his wife just called him. Dude, don't you think your wife is kind of worried about where you are? Because you don't know the truth yet. And so you then see that Ant-Man, or not Ant-Man, but they're all avoiding the authorities. And we get that scene, which was the stinger scene from Ant-Man, where you see Winter Soldier clamped to a freaking huge metal vice, and it's like, which Bucky? Or he's like, Steve, which Bucky am I talking to? Your mother's name was Sarah. You used to wear newspapers in your shoes. Why did he wear newspapers in his shoes? I do not know. Probably to stay warm during the winter. I mean,
typically they do that when the souls are worn out. So implying that maybe they were impoverished.
Yeah. Well, his family was impoverished because they were living through the Depression at one time because 29 had the stock market and the Great Depression.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, chances are. Yeah. So he's like, you don't read or you won't get that in the museum. What did I do? Enough. And he's like, God damn it, I knew it. Whatever Hydra put in my head is still there. What would it have been if Hulk and Thor were both in Civil War? Hulk would be on Captain's side. Huh.
In the comics, Thor was on Tony's side. However, you found out it was not actually Thor. It was a clone of Thor because Tony thought Thor was dead. And I can't remember why. Oh, and Hulk, and also in the comics, Hulk was on Sakaar. It was during the Planet Hulk.
World War Hulk or Planet Hulk, yeah.
Yeah, World War Hulk is when he comes back. It was during the Planet Hulk while that story arc was going. There's a really good animated movie based on Planet Hulk I highly recommend.
So that is kind of fitting because this is basically what's going on at the time.
Yeah,
Hulk
he's
basically he's the champion of Sakaar right now, or at that time. So, who would Thor side with?
That's a toughie. In the post, when they find out Thor is still alive, he makes it clear he would have sided with Cap to Tony, but I don't know if it. But there's some debate whether he was just mad that Tony cloned him.
Yeah.
So, because he was pretty ticked off about that. He actually discharged Stark's armor whenever they came face to face after the Civil War. That was right before the Dark Avengers arc.
Because there's MCU Thor, and then there's Thor in the comics. What would MCU Thor choose?
Or if we're talking post Thor 2, where he's actually still a decent character,
yeah,
I don't know. It's tough. I feel like he might side with whoever T'Challa sides, because T'Challa is also a king, and so it might, that whole royalty is loyal to royalty type thing. Maybe, if I could wager an opinion.
I mean, that's a nice thing, but I don't think he would do it. No, I think he would actually side with Cap, because he would have agreed with Cap. The safest choice is still our own, or the safest hands are still our own.
That's true. That's a good point.
Because he would have been like, what if they because Cap makes all the right points. What if we need to go somewhere and they won't let us? What if there's somewhere we need or we want to go and they say no?
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Thor would be like, fuck you, I am not signing this. Because Thor is still, while yes, humble, he's not one to be controlled.
That's true.
So yeah, I think that Thor would actually side with. I think he would actually side with Cap in this to answer Money Jade 2023 here. So, we then learn that there's more than one Winter Soldier. And we learn that a little bit more about the mission that he took in 1991, and that these elite Hydra kill squad before the serum, and they were worse than he was, because it was an unstable serum apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And there was that one chick that was a super Ruski was gotta say, I'd hit that. But you also see that they had an Asian guy, and they had basically different ethnicities. And he's like, well, this guy did say he wanted to see an empire fall. With this guy, with this group, he could do it. They know 30 languages. They're trained to infiltrate, assassinate. They could take down an entire country in one night. You'd never even see him coming. And I'm like, this is a story I want to fucking play out. Well, sorry, guys. We'll explain later. And we learned that these guys actually can get a one-up on the Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of those super soldiers freaking tossed him like a rag doll. And it's like, oh, shit, wouldn't want to fight these guys. Huh, get me out of here, soldier. And so he locks them all in, and it's like, yeah, wait him out. Wait till they get tired, then then trank them. Or something. Can a super soldier be sedated?
Probably with triple the dose.
Probably, yeah, because, well, they'd burn through it really quickly, I'm guessing. So, moving on. Let me grab up the talking points here. Well, alrighty. Others were given the serum. Hydra's top death squad. They went rogue. Sam knows a guy, and we already know who he knows. So the Avengers are now tasked to bring in Cap and Bucky by Ross, and he's like, "You got 36 hours." And he's like, "I have an idea. Where's yours? Downstairs. Where's yours?" Well, we get introduced to Iron Spider Boy, or the future Iron Spider Boy, and we're in Queens. I gotta say, it is a nice scene with the recruitment of Peter Parker, and it sets it up pretty good. I've had these powers for 6 months, and you see bad things happen, but if you don't do anything, that's when worse things happen. I mean, he basically tells him, without telling him, I kind of let my uncle die without telling them my uncle's dead.
Mm-hmm.
They never mentioned Uncle Ben, which is why they could do the retcon with No Way Home. However, I still believe that Uncle Ben should be a linchpin, a fixed event with Spider-Man.
Well, Ben Parker is referenced in Far From Home, I believe. So he did at least exist at some point. But I do see what you're saying. It's really funny. In Mexico, Spider-Man is huge. I know this because I'm married into a Mexican family. Spider-Man is huge in Mexico. And in fact, I actually was curious about this because my father-in-law, may rest in peace, he was a big Spider-Man fan. And I Googled one time on YouTube, and I found the Mexican trailer for Captain America Civil War. You would have thought it was a Spider-Man movie. He is in virtually every scene. It's that's where we saw I remember because people were like, "Oh, there's this leaked image of Spider-Man fighting Bucky." It was from the Mexican Civil War trailer, is where that was from. But it was really funny. I was like, I remember I asked my father-in-law this. I said, "Why is he so big in Mexico?" "Oh, because he's poor." It's like,
wow, okay.
Yeah. They have a lot of poverty in Mexico, so Spider-Man is poor, so they cheer for Spider-Man. But yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. But Spider-Man is my second favorite superhero of all time, right after Batman. As you can see, I have the real Spider-Verse behind me. So the one from Ultimate Spider-Man, not the comic book, the TV show. So I was really excited to see Peter, and I know we'll probably debate more about how he is in the MCU with Spider-Man Homecoming, but I think that this was a good introduction to him as a character, where we get this thrown in, because I think going with the younger Peter was the way to go, because we kind of had the college age Peter with Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. So I think they did the right thing by bringing him in as a high school student. Just my opinion, but I think he was right. That was the right entry point for him in this film.
Because here's the thing, folks. In the Marvel's Avengers Alliance game, they didn't have MCU Spidey. Let me find all the different spiders that they do have, because they did do a Spider-Verse with the the Inheritors coming after the spiders. Now let's see here. Silk is one. There's that one.
I just would like to say the comment that we have highlighted right now.
Yeah.
I hope they don't make a Civil War 2 from the comics, having Tony Stark versus Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, seeing RDJ battle against Brie Larson, just like the comic. That would be bad. 100% correct. Civil War 2, I couldn't get past the first issue. It was so terrible. Just subpar writing. You could tell they rushed it out. Not as bad as Secret Empire, but still pretty bad.
Yeah. And alrighty. So let me share another screen. Alrighty here. Here is, or I'm going to show you all the different spiders that were in the game. Here's Silk.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
Silk is actually one of the few Spider Women that I like.
yeah.
She has a cool backstory, and she's a really cool character.
Yeah. I actually thought that she actually looked, or I like this type of suit that she has. Although I gotta say that other one, that very revealing one, was pretty damn good as well. Let me pull up a different one here. Oops, wrong one. Let's see here. Then we get let's see here. Anya Kuro. Share this tab instead.
She's an okay Spider Girl.
Yep.
Not one of my favorites.
I believe this is the Hispanic one.
Yeah, she was in the animated series Marvel Spider-Man. That had a pretty good first and second season, but after that the Venom saga was terrible.
Yeah. And this is a Madam Web suit that she was given by Madam Web, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got Spider-Gwen.
Also known as the Ghost Spider.
Yep. This was before Spider-Verse, folks, or Into the Spider-Verse. Here's the original Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Different suit for the black suit, but same character.
Favorite costume?
Future Foundation.
Yep. That's when he worked with the Fantastic Four.
And then they had the Amazing Spider-Man. This was during the time that Amazing Spider-Man was coming out, folks. Not MCU Spidey. Then we got Spidey 2099, which was a great one. And Spider-Man Noir.
Nice.
If Frank Castle and Spider-Man ever had a kid. And then Spider-Woman.
First favorite Spider-Woman. Jessica.
Yep.
Jessica. Or no, that's not Jessica. Sorry.
Yeah, that is Jessica Drew.
Oh, you're right. Yes, that is Jessica Drew. Correct.
Now let me go back to files because there is one more Spider-Man, but he's not lumped in alphabetically with them because he goes by a different name. Let's see if it loads. Superior Spider-Man.
Oh, yes. That's when Doc Ock took over Spider-Man's body.
Yep. And
cool
he's the
costume,
one
though.
with the arms, boys and girls.
It was the spider armor was the first to do that. And I remember Doc Ock was like, why did Spider-Man get rid of those? Those were awesome. And so he put them on his costume when he became Spider-Man.
Yep. So, yeah. Also, I got to say, Marissa Tomei as Aunt May.
She kept getting younger.
Yeah, she kept getting younger to the point where it'd be like, I don't care if she's in her, or how old is Marissa?
I think she's in her 50s.
How old
At this point
is Marissa 58?
There you go.
She would have been. This movie was coming out in 16. She would have been like 50 or 49, 50 years old, and yet she still looks extremely attractive at that time. I'm sorry, but I'd hit that. So let's get the spiders out of here. Stop sharing. And so, yeah, I love how he recurs to me. He's like, this you? Or I'm going to ask you a question of the rhetorical variety. This you? Yeah, you got that off of YouTube, right? It's like, no, dude. Don't bother hiding it. And I love it. He's like, better tell, or might be dangerous. Better tell Aunt May. Don't tell Aunt May. Okay, Spider-Man. And you get this nice little swell of music. Get me out of this thing. I love that. What was your thoughts on it?
Love it. It's great.
Yeah.
Great banter. Great scene.
Yeah. So apparently the female Winter Soldier was or Scarlett Johansson's stunt
woman. That's cool. Scarlett Johansson is always very complimentary to her stunt team. props to her for
Mhm.
that. She's always praising them. So, and which they well deserved, by the way.
Yeah. I have a hangnail. Sorry. And so then we get the recruitment of T'Challa, who has considerable resources. Yeah, it took the world 70 years to find Barnes. I'm pretty sure you could do it in half the time. Plus, not to mention, not Okoye, but one of the others, the Okoye's friend's wife or whatever, the one of the lesbian ones this one is, or turns out to be a lesbian one. And it's like, move or you will be moved. As entertaining as that would be, I just love that. It's like, boy, this woman is bald, man. I mean, that's all I could see when I saw. It's like, this woman is fucking bald with a bad attitude. Isn't she currently in Congress? So, and then who else was recruited?
We see Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch.
Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch, where Clint, I love this. What are you doing here? Upsetting my kids. And him taking on Vision, I gotta say, it's like, dude, Batman with a bow and arrow. He has an arrow for everything. Literally everything, including something that could shut down Vision for at least a few seconds. But it doesn't work. So this one-sided battle between Vision, where he's allowing shit to phase through him, but also be extremely dense, because that is something that Vision can do. He can control his density.
Mm-hmm.
He can make himself extremely, well, non-dense or super dense. And he can phase through shit because, well, vibranium is a super metal. And I love that, where he pulls out the Dar suppressor rod. And 59, what is that a reference to? Anyway, 52. Okay, there's 52. All right. What is this a reference to? But he pulls it out and he smacks it against Vision's face, and Vision's like, uh-huh. And so I love it. He's like, just does 3 rapid shots at Vision's face and doesn't even freaking flinch. And so he's like, Clint, you can't overpower me. Oh, I know. She can. And it's like, oh, shit. Vision, let him go. I'm leaving. I can't let you. So she controls his density using the Mind Stone. She overpowers the fucking stone that gave her power. Imagine that. That alone, folks, by the way, is the one thing that sets up for Infinity War. That she has the power to affect an Infinity Stone, so she has the power to destroy one. So yeah, that's interesting, because she's like, I can't control their fear, only my own. And then she makes him so dense, because you can see that he's already cracking the floor. And she just increases his density to the point where she sends him just down into the ground as far as she can. And it's like, you see, I also love Clint. He's like, gotta help me, Wanda. You want to stay in high school or mope? I can send you to high school. But if you want to atone, you need to get off your ass. So what did you think of Clint versus Vision?
Loved it. Yeah, and I have to admit, I was like, surely they're not going to try to pull that thing where Vision is more powerful, but somehow Clint. So I was like, surely Wanda's going to get involved, and that's exactly what happened. So that was really cool. But I do like it. Clint is. I loved when he appeared on screen. I loved Jeremy Renner as Clint Barton as the Hawkeye. So that was pretty cool.
and it really it's or from what I heard about recent Jeremy Renner news, did he get his leg amputated?
No. They managed to save it. Yeah, uh, he was snow plowing. Somehow he
Yeah,
lost control and fell in front of it. Fortunately, his neighbor was a doctor, so his neighbor was actually able to keep him stable until the EMTs arrived. But his leg was saved. He made an appearance at the red carpet for the pilot of his renovation show, which, by
yeah.
the way, is actually pretty good. It's a reality show where but it's actually pretty good. But yeah,
My mom
his leg.
watches it.
He clawed his way back. Mad props to him because it
Yeah.
looked pretty bad for a while. Mad props to his survival skills.
And a lot of people call him Mayor because of Mayor of Kingstown, which is actually another decent show. It's fucked up and twisted, but it's good in a certain way. But have you ever seen that show, Mayor of Kingstown?
I have not. No.
It's actually kind of decent. Twisted Cops, which is something I don't like watching, but in this case, it actually kind of worked.
Another good non-MCU film he is in with Elizabeth Olsen is Wind River. It's a kind of a modern Western that takes place in Alaska. It's a pretty good film.
He's also good in SWAT.
Yes,
where
that's
he
a good
played
movie.
the bad guy in that one. He's been all over CBS. I mean, he was early on, he was in CSI. And
I didn't know that. I don't watch the CSI franchise. Too many spinoffs. Can't keep up.
He was in the original CSI, I believe the first or second season. I mean, Jeremy Renner has his. Let me look up his IMDb. Jeremy Renner IMD or DB. I mean, this dude has been around the block.
Yeah.
And
he's very underrated.
Yeah. And apparently, Anna, that Star Wars girl, has a really big problem with him because apparently she knows him in real life.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't keep up with drama.
Neither do I. And it's like, you know what? That's your guys' drama. So whatever. I'm not going to think one way about him just because you think about him like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let me see what we got here. If this thing would start. Or I can. What am I sharing right now?
I have no idea.
It's the Superior Spider-Man thingy. Well, I'm going to take, or I said, stop sharing that. Jesus. Learn to listen, computer. So we see them meeting up with Clint in Germany, and he's like, we got one more stop. And so we see Scott Lang is back. Hey, you're Captain America. I'm shaking your hand too long. And I'm like, fucking hell. And so
when.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Apparently, they tossed around the idea of. You remember when Steve first comes out of the machine after he gets the super soldier serum and Peggy Carter kind of touches his chest? Apparently, they were going to do where Scott does that very awkwardly, but they decided against that. But apparently, that idea was tossed around where Scott, after they shake hands, he was going to like touch his chest like that. That would have been really funny, but probably a little too much brevity ahead for what's coming.
Yeah. So let's go all the way, or let's look up his entire thing. He's also in Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, which was a good one.
That is a good one.
Let's see here. All the way down to National Lampoon Senior Trip in 1995 was his first credit.
Whoa.
Yep. Paper Dragons, Nightmare Come True. The Net, Angel. He was in Angel. That's right.
I didn't watch Angel. I'm not familiar with it.
He was in one episode of Angel.
Interesting. Kind of like Tobey Maguire. He's in one episode of Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah. I remember seeing that one too.
Looks exactly the same. I don't know if he's like sacrificing virgins or something, but he looks exactly
Jeffrey
the same.
Dahmer.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. He was his was very controversial because it made him look too sympathetic. I remember when it came out.
House Tank 28 weeks later. Aziz Ansari, Hurt Locker 4D as Jeremy Renner.
Hurt Locker, take or leave. He was good in it though.
Yep. The Town.
Oh, that's right. I forgot he was in The Town. That's a good film.
Yeah, his introduction to the MCU was in Thor, uncredited as Clint Barton. He was uncredited, folks. Wow. Born Legacy as Aaron Cross. Hansel and Gretel, he was Hansel.
That's actually kind of a funny movie.
Yeah, I like the
Witch Hunters.
Yep, the director's cut is pretty good. Let's see here. Tag, Wind River, Arctic Dogs, Jeremy Renner, Best Part of Me. Music video. He was in a music video that he did?
Yeah, he's actually a really talented musician and singer.
Huh. And yeah, Mayor of Kingstown and Hawkeye and What If. He actually did his own voice for the What If series.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, that's cool. What If was iffy.
Very much so. So, yeah. Also, beforehand, I love the scene where Sharon Carter and Cap finally kiss. And the shit between Bucky and Sam. He's like, can you move your seat up? He's just looking at Sam. He's like, can you move your seat up? No. And so when they finally see Cap kiss, you see both Bucky and Sam are like, yeah, man. But guess who had the biggest problem with that kiss?
Oh, wasn't it? Didn't the actress who played Peggy Carter? Yeah, I remember she did this interview where she was like, I don't think it's appropriate for him to kiss my character's niece. I remember that.
She was so fucking pissed. She's like, oh, believe me, this is what turns me into a villain.
It's so funny.
I mean, I would come back from the grave I want to come back from the grave just to be a villain. It's like, how dare you? I die and you go right for my niece, you fucking pervert. It's like, oh shit, man, you really shouldn't have gone there. But doesn't Sharon Carter end up killing Captain America in the comics? I believe it is the Civil War comic.
I don't think it was Sharon Carter.
Under a spell of Red Skull or some shit.
I can't remember, honestly. I know Black Widow kills him in Secret Empire.
Oh damn.
But or the evil Captain America.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It's been a while since I've read Civil War.
Well, all I know is that Sharon Carter accidentally kills him because she's under the spell of Red Skull or some shit, and snaps out of it and then realizes, oh shit, you know. Mm-hmm. And that's when Clint actually gets the shield, and I love it. He's like, nobody could ever realize how Cap threw it. Yeah, it's all in the wrist. I saw him throw it a couple times. I learned right then. And then they ended up giving it over to Bucky, which was the
Didn't the Punisher steal it and posed as like a gun-wielding Captain America for a little while? But then
yes,
I
remember that.
Yeah, Barton and Bucky got it back.
Yep. And so let's get rid of that. Lang meets Captain America, and then he sees Scarlet or Wanda, and he's like, yeah, I know you too. You're great. And then he's like, oh, hey. He sees Sam, and he's like, what's up, Tip Tac? Yeah, about before. It was a great audition, but it's never going to happen again. Still sore about that loss, hey, Sam? Because it's very important that Cap doesn't find out about it. So the plan is hatched. And we get to the big fight in the airport. And yeah, this battle, folks, where Cap comes in and he's like, or not a Cap, but Tony comes in with Rhodey and he's like, you're going to come with us because it's us. and not a JSOC team that has no compunctions about being impolite.
Mm-hmm.
And he also already whipped up Spider-Man. He's like, under ruse. And we get the eye-moving Spider-Man. Finally. Right? I mean, that was one of the main things that everybody was freaking asking for. And I remember this, folks. They did a GIF where they showed the Spider-Man eyes move. They kind of focused in on the Spider-Man eyes moving. And then you see these two kids jump up in the middle of a courtroom. A bunch of other celebrations. Freaking Les Mis, Hugh Jackman ascending to heaven. Everybody just finally celebrating that we got moving eyes for Spider-Man. And I'm like,
oh, go ahead.
Wow.
But someone did it with, you know, that famous meme of the people cheering in the bar. I think it was actually for a soccer match or something, and someone put that scene instead of the soccer match where it's the eyes moving and everyone cheers. It's like, yeah, I remember that. That's how I felt. Finally,
I mean, everybody was like, "Oh, dude!" When I saw, I'm like, "Spider-Man, okay, I knew Spider-Man. Holy shit, his eyes moved!" And I'm thinking to myself, "Yeah, this is just going to be another fucking trail." Oh shit, his eyes actually moved. What? I mean, I was like, total. It's like, finally, we're getting a good Spider-Man here. Because honestly,
what's interesting. The Tobey Maguire movies, the technology did not exist at the time to do something like that. Yeah. However, by the time of the Amazing Spider-Man, people were doing eye movement with masks and stuff. So I don't know why they didn't do it for that one, but yeah, but we got it here finally.
Yep. Because freaking Andrew Garfield's was freaking sunglasses.
Well, in the second one, though, lenses. The second one, he had lenses.
Yeah. And then, and I'm thinking to myself, huh, finally. So you can also tell that this one does have the spider tingle, or as they call the tingle. It's the spider sense.
Tingle.
Yeah. And it's the spider sense. And he's like, guys, there's something, and it's laying on the shield. But he notices it, but he's not in time to stop it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's like, hey, guys, I kind of feel... Oh, shit! I believe this is yours, Captain America. I mean, Scott is such a simp in this. But the battle, man, I got to say, I really do like the battle. Freaking Panther wants to go after Barnes, and everybody's going after everybody, and it's like, the Spider-Man sequences, man. He kicks Falcon and freaking... Oh, you got a metal arm? That is so cool. I mean, he's floored Captain America. He's floored T'Challa. He's floored everybody but a fucking 16-year-old. Doing. Oh, you got a metal arm? That is so cool, man. I'm thinking to myself, oh, damn, dude. This is one of those moments where Vegeta beat the hell out of Pui from Dragon Ball Z.
True.
I mean, you've seen Dragon Ball Z, right?
Oh yeah, freaking love Dragon Ball Z.
The Boo saga, where this dude, or where Boo's first guy, Pui, goes down to fight freaking Vegeta, and Vegeta's like, just grabs and then just moves it down. And he's just dodging the hell out of him, and then he just fries him. It's like, maybe if this was 500 times gravity, you might have an advantage, but 10, I don't even feel it. And it's like, well, yeah, also 10 times human gravity is Planet Vegeta.
Right.
So it's like, they wouldn't feel it. I mean, Saiyans are geared for automatic 10 times gravity, so Goku only had a hard time on King Kai's planet because he wasn't on Vegeta for too long.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, back to the movie. I love that. And also when freaking Bucky tosses a sign at him and you see, oh, God, hey, mister, I think you lost this. And when he turns to look and it's just rushing right at you, I literally, in the theater, I'm like, fuck, I mean, I'm like, oh my God, because it was in 3D. I had no choice but to see it in 3D. And it's like, oh, fuck, man. I just almost lost it. And I'm surprised Cap didn't tell Spidey to watch his. Yeah, right? And so, what did you think about the Spidey sequences in this, especially when he takes down freaking Lang when Lang's the boss and goes big?
Freaking loved it. I like I said, this movie was the perfect introduction for Spider-Man into the MCU. I thought it was fantastic. I love, like I said, Spider-Man. I'm a like I loved how they did the whole fight coordination, the sequences where there was a lot of actual comic book references in this one scene. I will say I wish they hadn't have done the fight in Germany. I wish they had done it somewhere in America, but I get it. They're trying to be more international because they had done a lot of films in America. But I do like this whole sequence. It's brutal. You feel it, and this was before the like I always say, the Disneyfication of the MCU. Even though Disney had taken over at this point, they were still letting the Russo brothers, uh, you know,
They gave him
be
free
a little
reign.
bit more tough. It was a little bit grittier, and I'm sure we're going to talk about in just a moment. People actually get hurt in this fight, so fantastic sequence with you hate to see it, but it was really cool.
Yeah. And I like how freaking Falcon's like, is this stuff coming out of you? And he's, I don't know how many fights you've been in, but there's usually not this much talking. All right, my bad. Let me just kick your ass then. And then he sends Red Wing to clip him out of there. Like, you couldn't have done that or you couldn't have just done that before. I hate you. And Clint versus Black Widow. We're still friends, right? Depends on how hard you hit me. And I love, or Scott Lang versus Widow, which he would have, considering the strength they have when he's shrunk and how he's whipping her over and wrenching her arm behind her back, he could have easily dislocated her arm if she didn't fire off a stinger. So it's like, yeah, good. Say goodbye to your arm. It's about to be popped. And let me tell you, folks, I've never dislocated my own shoulder, but I have dislocated another person's shoulder. Not proud of that moment, but it was a kind of no choice kind of deal. But yeah, when you hear that audible pop, let's just say it doesn't sound too good. We then get the Flyers versus, or Cap versus both Black Panther and Rhodey. And Rhodey brings out his huge shock stick. He's like, this ain't going to kill you, Cap, but it ain't going to tickle either. And I'm thinking to myself, bitch, please, vibranium shield. And Iron Man, who learns a very valuable lesson as to why he decides to go nanotech after this. He finds Clint and Wanda, and he's like, retiring. He's like, playing a little golf. Well, played 18, shot 18, just can't seem to miss. I'm like, dude, if you're freaking on a golf course shooting 500 yard, or shooting a 500-yard course, you're better than Happy Gilmore. So yeah, Barton, good on you, dude. I want to know what your golf clubs are made of, vibranium or titanium. And I love Wanda. It's like, you locked me in my room. And I'm thinking to myself, oh damn, she went there. But I do love it. It's like, made you look. So she's just whipping out cars. Multiple contusions detected. Yeah, I detected that too. Because you see on his heads up, it's constantly showing a red wave over his arm throughout the rest of the fight. So it's pretty cool. Or also he's a Arrow guy, Clint with Ant-Man, and Ant-Man gets in his suit, which is pretty cool. He's like, "Oh, you're definitely gonna have to take this into a shop. Who's speaking? It's your conscience. We don't talk much anymore." Friday, deploying fire suppression sequence. Now, again, folks, Iron Man, futurist. He just saw a new weakness to his suits. What does he do? Nanotech is the next time we see Iron Man after this film.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so it's just a bunch of fights with Winter Soldier versus Black Panther. He's like, "I didn't kill your father, then why did you run?" "Oh, I don't know, maybe because you were trying to kill me." I mean, that's what I would have said. You were trying to kill me, you fucking idiot. But the face-off where they're all one side the other, where they actually hid Spider-Man from the trailers. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And also Vision comes down into it. It's like, dude, okay, Vision's entered the field. You guys are probably fucked. Well, thankfully that wasn't the case. But I do like how Wanda is just not putting up with anybody's bullshit. So when it's Clint versus Natasha, she stops her leg and she just throws her. She's like, "You're pulling your punches." And then she grabs frickin' Black Panther, throws him off of Bucky, and then it's like, some of us are going to have to lose some, or if we're going to win this, some of us are going to have to lose it. And I absolutely like these. Like, "I got an idea, or we need something big." "Oh, I got something big, and if I tear myself in half, don't come back for me." He's going to tear himself in half? He's like, "You're going to tear what?"
I did this once in a lab, and I passed out.
Yeah. And what that grunt, man, on the it's like, please tell me you didn't just climax in your suit, dude. Because that would have just been gross. But anyway, I love that whole freaking. It's like, holy shit! Because Spider-Man's like, what the hell? Everybody's like, tiny dude's big now. I mean, Big Ant-Man was a great freaking. It was a great surprise. It was a great surprise because it was the whole tribute to Goliath thing, and then they had to. It's like, any of you guys see that old movie, The Empire Strikes Back? Old? Fuck you, kid. Jesus, Tony, how old is this kid? I don't know. I didn't carbon date him. He's on the younger side. Yeah, you brought a fucking 15-year-old into a battle here. So, what did you think of Big Ant-Man?
Oh, loved it. It was again, this hits every beat. I think I do wish we could have seen, since it went Iron Man or went Giant Man. I wish that we had, because Giant Man's costume is slightly different, where his helmet folds in, the face shield folds in. I do wish we had seen that, maybe just even briefly when he changes. I think that would have been cool, but I get it. They were working with what they established previously, but it was still cool. I think that it did provide the perfect distraction they were looking for.
Sorry, I had to step away. You made a motion with your hand, and what did you say?
Oh, the helmet pulling back, because usually when he becomes Giant Man, his face shield comes up and reveals, just kind of the quarter mask that he wears. I was just saying that whenever, I wish that they had done that for this movie. Just, I know they probably we're just trying to keep it consistent, easier on the
Yeah.
CGI artist, right? But I still think it would have been cool. But it was still a really neat moment. It provided the distraction that they needed.
Yeah. So we then have Vision increase his density and crash into Scott with like a freaking cannonball. But then he's like, or he sees those two running. So he's like, okay, enough of this shit. And he flies home. Something flew in me. And Vision's just not pulling any punches. He's like, okay, this has to end right now. Well, Wanda tries saving him, and then fucking Rhodey goes with a sonic cannon right on Wanda. It's like, you realize that could literally kill somebody, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that kind of hurt. I also like Iron Man, give me back my Rhodey. But that face-off was really nice. It's like, what are we doing? We fight. They're not stopping. Neither are we. I mean, because it's like, we've been taking it easy on them. Time to switch things up. And they get under there. And during that whole sequence, it's like, after Widow got tossed, we didn't see her after until, she went to the Quinjet.
Mm-hmm.
Did she go to get a candy bar? What was she doing there? Because she knew the captain was going there, obviously. But it's like, you're not going to stop, are you? You know I can't. I'm going to regret this. So she starts shocking fucking Black Panther. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, she betrayed him. Got it. Saw that coming. Double agent and all. But also they had during the trailers, you see her reaction to a fucked up battlefield, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, Jesus Christ, we turned this airport into a freaking wasteland. Also, I love the point where Ant-Man throws a disc at him. Or throws the disc at the... He's like, oh my God, I thought it was a water truck. Yeah, throw it at this. It's like, oh, gee. And fucking Rhodey's like, oh, come on! And I gotta say, Cap's pretty good at throwing shit because he throws the miniature disc at the truck and hits it first shot. Yeah, pretty good. So, we then get to Rhodey and Iron Man after the Quinjet, and calling for Vision to help turn Sam's suit into a glider. And he fires, but, well, Sam moved and ended up taking out Rhodey's arc reactor. And it's like, oh, shit, he's dead stick now. Yikes. And Iron Man freaks out. And it's like, I'm sorry. Fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, damn, we got some serious casualties here. Because when they were showing War Machine down there, or in the trailer, I'm like, what the hell happened to Rhodey? Who the hell killed him? If they did kill him? I hope not. But yeah, that's nuts, dude. What did you think about the whole airport battle? All your thoughts, man. Lay it out.
Oh man, I loved it. It was, like I said, you kind of hate to see it, and like you said, the trailer kind of made you think that Rhodey was going to die, but
Yeah.
I'm glad he didn't. I like Rhodey as a character, even with, the big three starting, or well, I guess technically Chris Hemsworth is still around, but with them going, I think at the time I would have told you, oh yeah, it makes sense for Rhodey to kind of step up once RDJ's stuff once his contracts are gone. But it's very tense to me because at times, you think about it, they're strangers, right? So Spider-Man and Ant-Man don't know each other. Ant-Man doesn't know who's on the other side, but they did it in such a way where you felt the stakes of this moment. What direction are the Avengers going to go? Is this going to be a permanent end to the team, like it was kind of in the comics? They came back together for the Siege, but and for Fear itself right after that. But you see that it was still a breaking moment for the Avengers, and you definitely felt it. The Russo brothers are fantastic directors, and they did a good job of making this moment happen.
Yeah. I mean, this fight there's a lot of people that call this an Avengers film.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was originally supposed to be Captain America 3 was supposed to be Serpent Society originally, and then it was going to be just more focused on Bucky Barnes, and then right after this it was going to be Avengers Civil War, but they decided to, I think it was going to be called Captain America the Forgotten Son, but they just decided to merge Captain America and Avengers Civil War.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, there's in the D23 in 2016, so this, or I'm sorry, not 2016, 2014, the map was totally different.
Yeah.
Like I said, they did Captain America Serpent Society was originally the name of the third one, then it was Forgotten Son, and there was even a talk of an Iron Man 4 at one point, but that never materialized, obviously.
Serpent Society, which one was or what group was that?
There are cults that travel around, and they all have powers that are kind of reptilian in nature. I think for this show, they were just going to make it where they had powerful suits.
Yeah.
But somehow they were going to get involved in the Winter Soldier or with the Winter Soldier, and that was gonna be why that Captain America was involved with them.
Because the only group that I know that's serpenty is the Fear itself worthy.
Yeah, no, the Separate Society, I hate to say this, but they're kind of throwaway villains. Like, they just kind of appear when they need someone to be on par with the Avengers because they're all really powerful. So that's kind of how they are in the comic books. Like, they'll just kind of randomly show up when, a certain villain needs like a group of thugs that can take on the whole team.
All right. So we then get to the aftermath, the raft. They finally brought in the raft, which is awesome. And I'm thinking to myself, how did they raise it above the waves of the ocean? So, also, Zemo's already in Siberia and rented a treader to get out to the base. And Stark has learned the truth about Bucky Barnes being innocent and Helmut Zemo, because the housekeeping lady finally let herself in to deliver the breakfast to Helmut and found the doctor's body. So it's like, oh shit, And you see Wanda in the raft is totally locked up, straight jacket, suppressor collar, so that she can't use her powers. It's like, how do you suppress somebody from using their powers like that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she literally is a Mind Stone creation. I don't get it. How you could actually stop her from using her powers. But, whatever. You see that Clint is like, the futurist, gentlemen, the futurist is here. He knows what's best of you, whether you like it or not. And he basically calls it what it is, yeah. And then he throws be careful with this, or watch your back with this one. There's a chance he's going to break it. It's like, oh, dude, that's a cheap shot. And then you get frickin' Scott. Hank Pym always did say you could never trust a Stark. Who are you? Come on, man. I love that. It's like, who are you? I wanted to make that into a GIF, except that there's no, or you don't see him saying it because his back's to it. It's like, who are you? I'm like, fuck, that would have been a perfect one. Or that would be a perfect insult GIF,
Mm-hmm.
But we later got a better one with Thanos. I don't even know who you are. But then he goes to freaking Falcon, who's sporting a shiner, and I'm like, did he hit him in the face with the blast? Because I'm pretty sure that would have melted his face.
Could have just been the fall.
Probably, but I'm
And
guessing
also,
there's
a lot of times bruises appear the next day. I mean, I've had that happen before.
But I'm guessing they probably went police brutality on his ass.
Probably.
I mean, it's like, oh, come on, guys. Are you really going to fucking pull this? But they don't really tell you how. So, yeah. He's like, you better go Mark Furman on my ass. I'm like, and I'm keep thinking to myself, who is Mark Furman?
O.J. Simpson.
Oh, okay.
He was the cop where he was reading a script that had a lot of N-words, but they said he was using the N-word when he was reading a script because he was like trying out for a movie or something, but they got the recordings and so they used it to, that's how they because he was originally the head detective of the O.J. Simpson case until his lieutenant relieved him.
Oh.
I think he was the first detective at the scene of the murders of the Ron Goldman and
I was a kid at that time, so
oh yeah, me too. I remember my parents did turn on the slow speed chase on TV, but I was a kid. I didn't know the intricacies.
I was in school when they were showing that shit. They're like, we got to watch this. I'm like, but we were in the middle of class. And it's the freaking pulling over the white car or the white vehicle going
Bronco.
I'm like, what? Yeah.
But yeah, I was kind of like, that's because Mark Furman was never accused of police brutality during the O.J. Simpson trial. So I remember when I went to the movies, I was like, that he was never accused of police brutality. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Maybe he was previously, but not during the O.J. Simpson trial. I don't know Mark Furman's police history, obviously, but yeah, I remember that. I was like, what is this?
So then Tony shows that he can be trusted by knocking the A out of their AV.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what'd you do? Get it back up. So it's like, you got to go as a friend and alone. Easy. So Cap and Bucky arrive in Siberia. Oh, excuse me. Just like old time. Or it's like something about Coney Island. And he's like, is that the time that you wasted our money on a girl buying her a hot dog or buying her an ice cream? And we had to head back in the back of a hot dog truck. And you're like, whatever. Or she must be 100 years old, man. So are we, pal. I love that. So are we, pal. Because it's nice because it's like, well, you're almost 100 years old. I mean, he's got 2 more years or 1 more year before he's 100, and you got 1918, so 2013. Was Winter Soldier 2013?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
I think that was 2014. But anyway, but yeah, Civil War, yeah, they're 90s, or they're like 97, 98 years old, or 97, 99. Anyway, or 99 and 98. Yeah, 99, 98, yeah. So they get in there, and we get the major twist because Cap or Iron Man arrives. I do like how he gets into his suit by pushing the button, which is nice because it just comes up right around his finger and gets all into his thing from his chair. But I also love how the conversation with Friday. It's like, what do I look like? I don't know. I've always been picturing a redhead. You must have me confused with somebody else, considering that the voice for Friday is actually an Irish redhead.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I was not aware of that.
We also noticed that T'Challa is following Iron Man in one of his stealth Wakandan craft. So, yeah. Black Panther's on the hunt again. And he realizes, oh shit, I've been chasing the wrong man. Because we get to the sequence where it's like, I got heat signatures. How many? 1. And then we see all the Winter Soldiers with bullets in their heads. Did you think I just wanted, or did you think I wanted more of you? And I'm like, while I was in the theater, I didn't yell out, although I wanted to. It's like, oh, come on. I wanted the fucking evil super soldiers.
I know. I was like, this was a great opportunity to introduce the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, right? I mean, this is the perfect freaking opportunity for kick-ass fight. Except that we're about to get a much better kick-ass fight. Because he's like, Captain, because he throws the shield at it, bounces right off. This silo is made to withstand the launch of UR 2100 rockets. Bet I could beat that. Oh, I'm pretty sure you could, Mr. Stark, given time. But if you did, you wouldn't realize why you were here. And so Cap talks with him, and he's like, you're Sokovian. Sokovia was a failed state long before you blew it to hell. You lost somebody. Is that what this is about? I lost everyone. Pops in the tape. An empire toppled from without can rise again. But one toppled from within, that's dead. Forever. And then he plays the tape, and well, immediately Stark is like, I know that road. What is this? And imagine being Stark in this moment, folks. You have to, you don't know the gruesome details, but you're now about to see the gruesome details of your parents' murder. You thought that they simply died in a car accident, except that you realize the person that you are now were there to defend murdered your parents in a rather brutal way, because Stark recognized Barnes, and he didn't understand, because you also see Bucky, he's like, kind of like, wait, what? And then you hear Sergeant Barnes, but that immediately puts Bucky into rage mode and pounds the hell out of Howard, killing him. And then he just coldly chokes Maria Stark?
Maria.
Yeah, Maria to death. And then he shoots the camera, and it's like, oh, that is just so fucking cold. Because remember, Tony didn't care a shit about his father. He didn't have that connection with him. And it says later in the fight, I don't care. He killed my mom. And which murder is actually the more brutal? The just slow choking to death of Maria Stark, or the pounding or the busted face of Howard Stark, you know? And one would say the more brutal was Maria Stark, because it was just cold, unseen, or you didn't even have to watch how we killed it. And I love Cap stops Stark from making a decision, and he's like, did you know? I didn't know it was him. Don't bullshit me, Rogers. Did you know? Yes. And we all know it all goes down from there. This fight, man, it's all fucking personal. And I gotta say, this is where this movie truly shined, was the fight between Cap, Bucky, and Tony, because he's like, Hydra had control of his mind, Tony, it wasn't him. Move! He's not willing to listen to reason. Stark is just in complete seeing red. What were your thoughts on this whole sequence leading up to the fight? We'll get to the fight after.
Robert Downey Jr. is a brilliant actor. I would like to say that. He made you feel it. It's kind of funny. I've been accused of being a hypocrite because I always make fun of the Martha scene from Batman versus Superman. There is no freaking comparison. the Martha scene, as much as I admire Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill as actors, it was so poorly written, but this and not acted very well because they had a poor director. But in this case, two good directors, three amazing actors, and Robert Downey Jr. stole the scene. I mean, there's no question he channeled something, because I know everyone knows Robert Downey Jr. has had a really difficult life, and you could tell that he channeled that into the scene. It was visceral, it was real, and I don't think there was a dry eye in the movie theater that I attended.
Yeah, I mean, it was pure brutality. And oh crap, I forgot to plug in my freaking laptop. I'm down to like 22% here.
Yikes.
Oh. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, this fight where he goes to subdue Rogers because he smacks Rogers as his helmet's coming on. So it's like immediately his suit is intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
His suit, or he's got it so to where his suit is completely intuitive. So when he's smacking, or the moment he's moving to smack Rogers, his helmet is already coming on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh damn, dude. Am I coming through all right, or is my audio?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you fine.
Okay,
and it looks fine on the. It does. You don't look like an old kung fu movie. It's working good.
Because I'm getting an unstable connection or whatever. So we then get let me see if I can close all tabs. There we go. For because I don't need to share any more of those. So yeah, he's just going after Bucky. He's like, move, get out of my way, don't get in my way. But when he grabs Bucky and he's like, do you even remember them? I remember all of them. Mm-hmm. So that tells you just how much Bucky is always guilty, feeling guilt. He feels all of it. He remembers all that he has done. And he has to learn to live with it. And knowing he killed somebody he knew from World War II, yeah, it would bust me up too, man. I mean, it's like, holy shit, I killed a friend of my friend. I killed a friend, technically a friend as well. But it's just not wanting to listen. And he's doing everything he can to stop Bucky from getting away. So when they get down into the bottom of the spillway, it's like, this isn't going to change anything. Trying to tell somebody who is that, folks, I have seen that line dropped a million times. It's not going to bring him back. It's not going to change anything. It's trying to tell somebody that when they are in the haze of vengeance, you might as well not say anything at all because you're not going to talk them down.
Mm-hmm.
And Stark says it flat out. I don't care. He killed my mom. And we then get another good line. He's my friend. So was I. And I absolutely love it because after we get that shot where he's kicking where both of them are double teaming up on Tony, where they're both using the shield, throwing it back at each other and yada yada. And then he blasts Cap away, but Bucky's using his metal arm on Tony to try to pull out the arc reactor. Mm-hmm. Well, he uses the big one and wastes Bucky's arm. It's like, oh shit, man. I mean, nothing was doing anything to that damn arm, but Stark just blew that fucking thing out. Not to mention, Stark was in such a rage that he was going to blast him with a repulsor, but after it was moved, he then went full missile bore towards Bucky's face. It's like, dude, you hit him with that missile, you're going to blow yourself up. That's how much rage Stark is feeling, folks. He didn't care. So we then get the very famous shot that's also straight from the comics after that, where Cap is using his shield and it's back to back where they're right at each other, shield against repulsors, which was great. So what was your thoughts on that up to that point in the fight where it's just pure raw emotion?
Again, you don't see that in MCU films anymore. Just where they're okay for the heroes to be they're okay with them being emotional, but not in that sort of quirky millennial Gen Z way. Like what you're seeing is raw feelings, a revenge. And periodically some idiot on Twitter will say, "Oh, you're not okay with Batman killing, but you're okay with Iron Man killing." I'm like, Iron Man never established the no kill rule, and
Neither
he
did
has
Batman. That was done by, or they established that with the animated series.
No. They established the no kill rule in the 40s because of the comics code. It was, and also World War II was ending, so a lot of comic book heroes that still killed were actually dropping in sales because people wanted heroes that had like a higher moral standing, basically. And
Batman is the Dark Knight.
Yeah, it's a very interesting story. If we ever talk about a Batman movie, I'll go more into this. But with
he had no compunction about killing in freaking '89 and Returns.
Sure, I have issues with those movies, even though they're brilliant. But with this scene, it's not about when Stark kills, it's always in it's a last resort, like in the Iron Man Extremis comic series. Even when he kills the Extremis guy, he even says, "Why did you make me do that? I could have saved you." And but in this scene, all that is out the window. It's pure rage. He's, like you said, he's seeing red. And again, just such a well coordinated. And I love how, like you always say, he upgrades his suit every time. Well, in this one, what does Friday tell him? You can't take them both on hand to hand. And his next two suits, what does he do? He's doing hand to hand stuff, right? He's got a freaking sword in the next one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really cool lead up as far as that's concerned. But yeah, love the scene. It's one you feel just like it was in the previous one where he sees the video.
And I remember a comic cover where it shows Stark and Cap fighting, where one of them is like stripped down as pretty much bare skin with their hands up like this to each other, with the shield being blasted by Iron Man. And
that was in the final battle in the Civil War. That was the final battle, and they did that they did that in this one, right out of the comics.
Yep, it's right out of the comics, and it's so freaking great.
Back when they still loved the fans.
Yeah, and so we then we pause from that to show that Black Panther goes after Zemo, who has deleted his message from his wife and child. And he explains what happened. His family was miles away, except when the bodies, or he was caught in the rubble as well, apparently, the way he describes it. But when he survived and they didn't, the Avengers, they just went home. Didn't even care. So T'Challa's like, vengeance has consumed you. It is consuming them. I won't let it consume me. And justice will come for you, tell to the dead, because he's ready to shoot himself, but boom, right into the hand. It's like, I don't care if you're wearing vibranium. You would have felt that. because that's still high velocity impact against your palm, folks. I don't care if you have a super magic metal. You're still going to feel a little bit of impact there.
Well, we don't know that he didn't. They just didn't explore that.
Yeah. And you see, or so he stops Zemo so that Zemo can be brought to justice, which is fucking brilliant when we get to it. So, as you say, Friday tells Stark, it's like, you can't beat him hand to hand because Cap is a brawler. He is a boxer.
Mm-hmm.
And he is beating the fuck out of Tony right now. And he's like, analyze his fight pattern, scanning. And I absolutely love the break or the pause when he's like, countermeasures are prepped. Grabs the shield, turns to him, let's kick his ass. And he puts it down efficiently. He actually lets Friday essentially take over the suit.
Mm-hmm.
Because Friday scanned it and is absolutely ready for what's about to happen because he's moving. It's almost as if something else is moving his suit because he gets up like this and is going to do as if he's going to do the elbow, yet the repulsor shoots his elbow out to hit Cap with added more force. And then he drops Cap and he's like, he's my friend, so was I. And then he throws him again. Stay down. Final warning. I could do this all day. And then it's a nice call back to the first movie. And we then see Cap just, you know what, screw it. Because Bucky saves Cap at the last second. And Cap finally drops him down, hits him several times with the shield, smashes the helmet off of his face. You see that helmet shatter, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
You saw the helmet shatter right off of his face. Yet, later on, you see the helmet still kind of semi-intact on the ground over there. It's like, no! But yeah, he puts the shield into the arc, shutting down the suit. So it's like, how did he get out of Siberia? It does make one wonder, how the hell does he get out of Siberia?
Well, Black Panther was there.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. I mean, sure, I guess. That's probably it. So then he's like, that shield doesn't belong to you. You don't deserve it. My father made that shield. So that actually gets Cap to stop because it's like, it's not just a rant. It's not just a whine. This is something of his father. So fuck it. Let him have it. And he lets him have it. So he just drops the shield and walks off with Bucky. So the next shot is frickin' Ross, Everett Ross, not Thunderbolt Ross, but Everett Ross, not to get the two confused, talking to Zemo. Meals are this time and this time. Raise your voice. Zap. Try anything stupid. Zap. You get out of hand, you deal with me. Please get out of hand. And then he starts taunting him. He's like, how's it feel to all that preparation to have it fail so spectacularly? Did it? And you see Ross like, wait, what? That like his face just goes slack. And it's like, oh shit, maybe I can't taunt him as good as I can. It's like, shut up, dude. You're a freaking CIA lackey. Nobody gives a fuck. I mean, I'd love to know what you were able to do maybe back in the day when you were probably in your prime, but something tells me this dude could fuck you up if you tried. You would fuck around and you would find out in the worst way. So, yeah, I mean, just those two words from Zemo. Did it? Did it fail spectacularly? I'm the one person that just destroyed the entire Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even have to do or lift a finger to do it. I just let them kill themselves. And I just showed them the truth. That's all I did. So, yeah, Baron Zemo, Helmet Zemo, frickin' destroyed the Avengers, folks. Evil won in this movie. And everybody's like, yeah, finally we get Evil winning in Avengers Infinity War. Evil won in Captain America Civil War. There is no victor between the heroes. Evil won. He destroyed the Avengers. He caused them to destroy themselves. And you get that scene where Tony's helping Rhodey. And
Stan Lee cameo.
And our Stan Lee cameo. Are you Tony Stank? I couldn't. It's like, I can't, man. I just fucking can't. Oh, yes. Thank you for that. That's never going away, man. Table 1 for Tony Stank, right by the restroom. And Robert Downey Jr. actually lost it, and he started laughing at it too, but they kept it in. And he's trying to help Rhodey walk again, which is the first crude effort, but later in Infinity War, he's walking perfectly. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, also Nat is on the run too, by the way, which leads to the very bad movie. Bad movie, Black Widow.
It should have come out in phase 2.
Yeah, it should have came out after this one. It should have come out after this one. I mean, I'm sorry, folks, but Black Widow deserved her movie before Captain Marvel did.
100% yes.
And so we then... I mean, Stan Lee, dude, I meant... If he was still alive, I fucking clone him and put his mind in that clone and get him back into Marvel where he could stop this fucking madness. That's what I would do. I'm sorry. That's what needs to be done. Because they waited for him to die and everything went downhill from there. But anyway, what's the next scene?
It's when Tony reads the letter from Cap.
Right. And he gets the flip phone. Mm-hmm. And it is a nice letter. And I like how he tells Ross earlier when he's leaving the raft, give me a call. I'll put you on hold. I love watching the little blinking button blink. And so we got Secretary Ross from the raft. All right, put him on. Tony, we got problems. I'm sorry, please hold. No, don't. Puts him on hold. And get this. He doesn't bust out Clint. He doesn't bust out Scott. He busts out Sam. And he wrecks everybody's shit at the raft. Mm-hmm. And that's the end. And then we get the 2 stingers. One is of, what was it? Hold on 1 second. I still got the thingies up. Hiding Bucky in Wakanda. Mm-hmm. So that they could try to get the conditioning out of his system or out of his head, which is a nice one. It's like if they find out he's here, they'll come for him. Let them try. And I'm thinking to myself, what are they panning over to? And it's just a big old stone panther. And I'm like, what is the secret behind the big stone panther? I'm thinking to myself, is that thing going to come alive? Is it going to eat whoever comes in? What? I want to know. So then we get the next one, which is Peter Parker gets his upgrade for his Spidey suit slinger light, which is straight from the comics, I do believe.
It is.
And I love Marissa Tomei is like, okay, tough guy. And it's like, that is seriously, woman, you're hot.
Well, I think it's because he had a black eye from
and she was getting him. And it's like, Steve from 34C? No, this guy's from Brooklyn. You don't know him. And his friend was huge, just freaking huge. He freaking got smacked by Ant-Man just before he shrunk down. Does anybody have any orange slices? Why does he want orange slices? Just makes you wonder what was with the craving for orange slices. But yeah, it's a nice little ending there. So that is the review. How would you rate it out of 10?
I would rate it 8 out of 10. I do feel they were a couple of missed opportunities to like we talked about Zemo killing the villains in stasis. I think that was a missed opportunity to introduce the Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
But that's just one. That's an example. But I give it a solid 8 because, like I said, there are a few things with it. It's a little slow in some places. I think, but like for instance, when Peggy Carter passes away, I hate to say this, but I was kind of like where it was in the film just kind of interrupted the flow of the film. But outside of that, overall fantastic. I loved it. I haven't liked the recent adaptations they've done of actual comic book storylines, but they did a good job of updating this one and making it fit within the MCU parameters. I'm so glad that Disney told Ike Perlmutter where he could go, and that they did pay Robert Downey Jr. To be in this movie. And I'm glad that it introduced Spider-Man. I overall 8 out of 10, solid. It's highly underrated. It's very overhated if you look online. But I honestly think the overhated comes from you don't like seeing mommy and daddy fighting. But yeah, very well choreographed. It's when they still cared about the CGI, sans the smoke scene that we talked about earlier. But very well done, very well directed, and it did a good job of not just moving Captain America forward, but the Avengers as a whole.
All right. Yeah, I like the movie as well. For me, it's definitely a 9 out of 10. There are a few sequences where I would have changed it a little bit, or I would have definitely tightened up the smoke. I would have added a little bit more to the Rumlow sequences. I would have kept him around a little bit more because I feel that he could have been useful later on. Other than that, I really did enjoy this film. It had a lot of freaking emotional impact. And a lot of people just don't fully realize that, yes, evil won in this movie. Mm-hmm. Everybody gives Thanos credit for winning and snapping. They don't give Zemo credit for destroying the Avengers.
True.
So, yeah. So, anyway, folks, next week, hopefully, we'll have the Hat Crew a little bit more filled in. But we're coming up on Doctor Strange next week. And then, hold on one moment. Let me, because I'm going to show you guys all, or the next couple of them. Or then we have, I think, Spider-Man Homecoming or Guardians 2.
Isn't Spider-Man after Doctor Strange?
Yeah, so we got Spider-Man Homecoming next, which is
somewhere in there is Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, we'll get our Guardians 2, then Ragnarok, and then Black Panther. Mm-hmm. There's Spider-Man Homecoming, which the green is the Vulture, as we all know. I think I did add a little bit of a white outline to the Homecoming to give it like the white frill that he's known for in the comics. But the Spider-Man, the yellow, blue, and red, is strictly from the actual cover to the movie poster. It's not the same. It's not the same font, but it's the same style. And let me get back in here. Oops. Get off of that. Then we have Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which is right there. Let it load. Doctor Strange. This one is I would definitely be comparing and reviewing for 2007 version. This one is good though. Yeah. Now, the reason why, folks, I went heavy on the blue here is because Rip Yondu. Because we all know what happens to Yondu in that movie. And I believe I got one more. Homecoming. No, that is all of them that I have made so far. So, yeah. Anyway, that is the stream. Y'all have a wonderful night. Thank you so much to Skyhound28, Elena Na, Christian Freights, J Money 2023, Vanya. Sadly, he couldn't make it in because of technical difficulties. Dadman Walking, sorry I didn't see your comment earlier, sir. Thank you so much for coming in. Hope you're doing well. Who else? I believe there was a couple other people. Steve Kenobi. And that is it. Thank you all so much. And thank you, Jake, for coming on in tonight. And we will see you all next week for Doctor Strange. Wednesday or Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon, you'll see me for my mystery review. The hints are 30-year-old movie, Samuel L. Jackson, and Lysine Contingency. I'm pretty sure you can guess strictly from that guess alone, but don't spoil it. Tuesday night will be the Barroom Podcast on Society Reviews channel. And Wednesday is finishing up ones and twos with Mara for July for the Jaws movies. We're going to be doing Jaws 2. And I'm opening up a new thing with me and Mara that's going to be a 2 streams per month where she does ones and twos. I'm doing Thursday night singles, which is just going to be called Singles, and where we do one-off films. And the first one we're doing is Big Trouble in Little China. So hope you all have a wonderful night. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to Jake. Do you have anything to plug before we go?
Just head over to my YouTube channel. It's Studio Jake. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscriptions. I'm over 800 at this point, and so really on track. I think last time we talked, I was just above 700. So I'm gaining steam. I would really appreciate any and all subs. And Orange Hat, thank you again for having me on.
All right. Yep, you're part of the Hack Crew, man. And if you're all on Facebook, definitely give Jake a follow. Writer C.S. Johnson, who couldn't be with us, Riot Kitty, Ambassadorial Wing, and Nerd with a Cigar. She's also in the Hack Crew now. So, yeah, y'all have a wonderful and amazing night. Always remember, folks, stay humble.